Good afternoon, guys. This is Nitya Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 718 alongside with our couple co-hosts with Blaine from the Final Whistle Show and then Global Kid Media, Vedant. He has his own show too. And then we're joined by a really special guest, a former Seattle Seahawks offensive tackle, Hall of Famer, Walter Jones. Man, heck of a career, heck of a journey too. And we're really looking forward to this. First of all, I just want to say thank you for joining us today on this Monday. And how are you and your family doing so far during this tough situation?
We're doing good. You know what I'm saying? We've been doing smart stuff, just making sure that, we stand healthy. When we go out, we wear our mask. I think it's part of it, we're doing Zoom calls now. I think everybody have figured out that this might be the new way now. So it's just, you have to adapt. I think it's, just part of life. You deal with it and try to do the best things for you and your family to stay healthy.
So before we get to the questions here, I'm going to let Vedant and Blaine introduce themselves more about their shows real quick, and then we're going to get into it.
So let me go first. Yeah, so I'm Vedant. I'm the 14-year-old president of Global Kid Media. I've done 1,500 celebrity interviews in the past 3 years. Actually started at an NCAA tournament in Detroit in 2018. Worked to be the first kid on national TV as a sports reporter, host, or producer to hopefully inspire millions of other kids. They can do anything they want at a young age as well.
Mm-hmm. And then Blaine.
Yeah, and my name is Blaine Spencer. I'm host of the Final Whistle Sports Podcast. I'm really honored to be able to take this opportunity to speak with you, Walter, today. Thank you, Nathan, for thinking of me to come on the Final Whistle Sports Podcast. We try and break down everything that's going on in the sports world. That is tennis, basketball, volleyball, whatever it is, I'm talking about it. We do 2 episodes a week, and then we add in special episodes where we do interviews. That's anyone's involved in the sports world, sports media, former players, coaches, etc. So really looking forward to this, and thank you for having me on today.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll start with the first question, Walter. So when you were growing up throughout your lifetime, when did you start realizing that you wanted to play sports, and what made you choose football?
I think the way football came to me because of my size. I come from a single parent home. I had 3 brothers and 4 sisters, and I was the baby. And I had a brother that played football. He was pretty good in sports. He played baseball. He played football, and he broke his leg playing football. So, and my mom had a hard time trying to get him back and forth to the hospital, trying to get him to the bus stop. So she's just like, hey, I can't afford it, so no more sports. I'm just trying to do it best I can. So it was never pressured upon me when I was growing up to play football. I could play sports. I played stuff like basketball, but it never was a dawn on me like, hey, you can, go out for the football team or go. I just, because my mom was like, no. And when I got a freshman in high school, they had I knew the football team wasn't that good, but they had a high school coach that was, I think he played a little semi-pro. So he understood the game of football. So he was literally trying to change the culture. So he was just walking through campus trying to find kids that wanted to play or why they're not playing. And he saw me and he asked me why I wasn't playing. And I told him, and then he kind of took me out on the football field and showed me some drills, kind of just seeing what type of player I was, or just trying to see what kind of, can you play, because you can be big, but then you might not understand or can't get it done. And he took me out there, did some drills, and he kind of said, you should be playing football. You got the height, you got the size. You should try out. And I'm like, well, if you can convince your mom, convince my mom. And he did that, and I was able to play. And then once I got on the football field, everything came so naturally for me. And I was, things that I could do at a very high level, the coach kind of pointed out very early. And, he took me on his wing and told me, if you listen to me, you can get somewhere, you can change your life, your family life. And once I went to one college game, I went to a Mississippi State college football game, and I saw how the fans reacted to the players. I said, this is what I want to do. I'm going to put everything in. I'm going to go in all in. So I went all in, and I'm sitting here now with you guys. But, I think it was something that, the game came pretty easy to me. And I felt like that was going to be the way that I can make money and change my whole life and change my family life. We definitely did that. So that's how I literally got into football. I did it for all that reason. I had that only reason was to get it and to better my situation and better my family situation.
So we'll go in rotation. So I guess we go Vedant and then you, Blaine. So.
All right. Let's ask the biggest what if question. If that coach didn't approach you, if you never were able to convince your mom to play football, what would you be doing right now?
Oh man, I come from a very small town, and I think they only had like one or two places there. Like they had a lumber yard and they had a cotton, apparel type situation that people that was like the top job. So, if I was going to stay there, that's probably what I probably would have been doing. I didn't have no desire to go to college, but I think I would be doing what everybody else doing, just trying to make a way. My mom was all about you got to make money, you got to take care of yourself. So I would have been trying to find out. A lot of times I wanted to go to the city. I tried one time to go live with my auntie in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and that didn't work out. So I came back home, and I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I don't know what would have happened if I would have went out there to Fort Wayne and lived. So I was just trying to change something. So I knew then that I wanted to do something different than just sitting at home. I wanted to get out of that small town, because a lot of times people don't understand about small towns. Is like they if you don't get out, it can keep you there forever. So I knew I wanted to get out of my hometown. So that's how it all happened for me. And I knew I would have been there doing exactly what everybody else doing, just trying to make a living.
Walter, to piggyback off of that, you ended up going to junior college, and then you decided to go to Florida State to play under Coach Bowden. What was Coach Bowden's recruitment style to try and reel you in to be a Seminole?
It wasn't that. I did all the hard work for that situation. I had when I was playing football, what I'm saying, I wasn't a bad kid, but I was a baby. So my mom was raising all our kids. So we had like 4 in high school, and there were 4 and I was in elementary school. So I got the hand-me-down. So by the time I got to freshman in high school, my mom was like, "I'm done." She didn't finish school. So when I used to have a problem with my schoolwork, she couldn't help me. So I kind of took that upon myself, and I kind of mad at her for a while. And I kind of like I would go to school and get my work. So I failed like twice. And then when I got introduced to football, I was, I loved it. I wanted to do it. But then I got to the point where I was a junior in high school, and found out that if I would have my senior year, I wouldn't have been eligible to play because of my age. I had to get out of school as my junior year. So what I did was I was taking my junior classes, and then I was taking senior classes by correspondence. And that's how I was able to get out of school on time to be able to, because a lot of people say, well, you just don't play next year, then let's see what happens. But, my coach was saying, if you take a year off, it's not going to happen. You got to get out of school right now. You got to get into college and do this thing that you want to do. So that's what I had to do. I put the work in, and then I visit Florida State for football camp in the summer. And, usually what they do, they take you out, and then they take you into the auditorium. They show you a highlight reel. And I was hooked at that point. I said, this is where I want to go. I'm going to do it. And what I did was the coaches recognized me when I was at the camp, but, still I didn't have the grades, kind of like one of those, if he get his stuff together, he can do something special. So it was all about me and my coach. And I had to put all my highlight reels together. So I definitely put I picked out a couple of teams that I wanted to go. I had Florida State, I had Alabama, I had Nebraska, because at that time, Nebraska was the one that had, they was all about offensive alignment. So I think, okay, that's the best spot. But my coach was more like, you need to go to a team that's more pro style, that's going to prepare you for run blocking and pass protection. And I was hooked at Florida State. So what I did was I sent videotapes out to all the school, but Florida State, when they saw my video, they were interested. They were like, hey, if you get your stuff together, we'll offer you a scholarship. And after that time, I put all my bags. I said, whatever Florida State want me to do, that's what I'm going to do. And so when I graduated, I still had to go to the junior college route. And at that time, there was only 2 schools that had scholarship offers. And I think Florida State had, they sent some of their players to both of these schools, Holmes Community College, and I think it was East Mississippi. Jones, I think I was Jones, one of those schools. So I went to the first school, Holmes Community College, and the coach, didn't know me at all. So, and we went down there, and literally I signed an offer with the coach, and we talked for a little bit, and he was like, hey, we got your scholarship. We need you on our team. I want you on our team. So, and he didn't even look at no film. He said, dude, you passed the eyeball test. So that's how that got going. And then once I went to junior college, Florida State was always about, hey, if you get it right, we're going to offer you a scholarship. So I was all in. And then I went to junior college, had a pretty good career for 2 years. And after that time, the recruiting started all that. Because I really didn't get recruited that hard out of high school, so I didn't understand what recruiting was. And when I got to junior college, I got all the accolades out of junior college, and then that's when the recruiting started. Alabama started talking to my family, because because I went to Florida State, they roll tide every day. And they support me, but they love Roll Tide. And I felt like going to Alabama would have been a bad situation because I knew my family would have wanted to go. I had to deal with tickets. I said I'm going somewhere where I can play football. And I was all Florida State when I first went there, so I knew where I was going. And the cool thing about Bobby Bowden, you know, he knew me. The cool thing about him, like if you walking on the field for practice, he walk up to you. He's not talking about football. He asked about your family. You know, I had a big family, so he knew all my sisters and brothers' name. He just came up and just reeled off their names. You know, I don't know if he had that plan. And the cool thing because he knew that there was other teams looking at me. So when we had our athletic banquet at the end of the year, I think I got player of the year or something like that at the banquet. And he showed up. You know, he came to this rural junior college and showed up. And, you know, I was already on time with Florida State anyway. But for him to come there, you know, all the kids were excited. So it was pretty cool. So I know then that that's where I wanted to be.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. But before we get to your NFL draft experience and NFL career, what was it like just playing at Florida State and their tradition with the fan base? And obviously, I had Charlie Ward on the show last year, and he played there, and you had Deion Sanders play at Florida State. So what was that like, that tradition, and what was like the atmosphere like when you played there?
It was amazing. You know, when I got there, I tell people all the time, I say you played against so many great players in practice. So when you got to Saturday, the game was so easy because you were going against 5-star players. That the fourth guy was elite player. So you had tough practices every day. And then once you got to the game was so easy. So for me personally, my first time walking on the field, I was so nervous, you know, just to like, you know, I'm going from a rural town. You're probably playing in front of 500 people at the most. You get 500 people, that's a sellout. And just to get there to play in front of 67,000 people, it was amazing, you know. And I think this is where I need to be, you know. And just to seeing all the tradition, all the great players that came through Florida State. So for me to claim Florida State, I love my team. I love them. I support them. You see, I'm supporting them all the time. I tell people all the time about, you know, Florida State was that, you know, when I got to the pros, you know, guys joke about their school and stuff, and some guys will come up to you and talk noise, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, I talk noise, and then, you know, one guy told me, say, man, you know, he was talking noise. He said, hey, you know, I know I talk noise, but dude, I want to go to Florida State. They just didn't recruit me. So now I use that again with people. I say, hey, you wanted to go to Florida State, you just didn't get recruited to go to Florida State. So that's how, you know, I was in on Florida State. I love Florida State. So.
Now you leave your junior season to go to the NFL draft and get picked pretty quickly. Let's talk about that adjustment from college to the NFL now. When we talked about everything, high school to JUCO to college. What was the adjustments, the biggest things that you learned going from college to the NFL?
The one thing I learned about going from college was, you know, at college you had to play football, go to school, so you had to maintain. I think college is a little tougher than the pros because you have to manage all that stuff. You know, you have to go to school, you have to keep your grades up, you have to go to practice. You know, it's a lot more to it. Now, when you get to the pros, it's all about you have to learn how to be a professional. It's a job. And I think a lot of time with family and friends, that's the one thing that they have to, because, you know, you play the game and they don't see it as a job. You make a lot of money, but they never, like when I first started playing, my family came out. And, you know, Saturday night, you know, they think, oh, you going out to the park? I'm like, bro, I'm going to work. You know, they thought I'd go to work for 2 hours and come home. No, you at work from 7 to 7 sometimes. So, and I think that was a hard thing. I think that's the most transition. Football is your life. That's your job. So you're doing it every day. I think that was the most adjustment, just being responsible, you know, becoming an adult. And I think that the worst thing is, like, you know, when you're in college, they take care of everything. So you don't have to worry about bills. So now when you get all this money, you get a house, you get all this stuff in the house, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there 2 months in, you're practicing, having a great day, you're at home, and then all the lights go off, the TV go off. You're like, what the heck going on? And what, you know, you don't check bills. Yeah. So bills was all in. I had past due bills. So my introduction into the NFL and being a professional was 3 months in, my lights went off, and I didn't know what. I was calling everybody like, what's going on? Like, so. And found out that, hey, I had to check my mailbox because I get bills. So I think that's the number one thing, just learning how to be an adult and taking care of your responsibilities.
Once you made that transition to the NFL, what was the greatest challenge that you had to face in your NFL career for you personally?
I think about just being consistent. I think you you want to be great. So I think that's the one thing, because you're a very high pick, so you want to gain respect from the players. And I came in a league where that was all about respect. You know, even though you was a first round draft pick, you still had to earn your spot. You know, you get a better, you know, you're a number one draft pick, you're gonna get to play. But I think it's all about, are you worthy of that pick? I think once you get in there, like, can you, you know, because a lot of times, you know, the coaches and the organization can pick players, but if you get out there, you want the respect from the players. You want them to say, okay, he's worthy of this pick. And when I got there, you know, I got a high ankle sprain, so I missed a lot of games my first year. So some players thought I was going to be a buzz and stuff like that. So, you know, you just have to stay focused. And I think for me personally, when I got there to the league, I had some great offensive linemen to watch. You know, and that's what my coach told me. He said, watch these guys. You watch these guys and you do what they do, you're going to be great. So I had Orlando Pace, I had Jonathan Ogden, I had Willie Rowe. You know, my favorite offensive lineman for all time is I just had Anthony Munoz. When I was in high school, my coach, when I first got introduced to football, he gave me Anthony Munoz just has a instructional video just talking about how the linemen is set, blah blah blah, and that's how I figured the game out. And that was the tough part, you know, just trying to get out there and get the respect of your players, you know, in tough situations. And I think I did that. I earned my keep. The first 5 years, I just came to work, played. I didn't talk to a lot of people. People thought I didn't talk. And then, you know, now that I'm retired, I'm doing TV, I'm doing radio. So people said, man, why I didn't know that? I said, I was focused on football, man. I was just doing my job and trying to be accountable every day. So that was my approach.
So obviously you played with one team throughout your career in Seattle, a 9-time Pro Bowl, 4-time first team, second team, 2-time second team. So what was it like just spending your whole career with one team? Because in this generation, some players do not spend time with their one team. They're constantly moving around. You see it in this year's free agency, a lot of movement. So for you, what was it like just to spend your time in one place, one area, and especially in Seattle?
It was pretty amazing. I think that for me, the person to call Seattle my home now, and I play for only one team, so I don't have to try to figure out who I root for this. So it's been amazing. I'm grateful that I was able to come to a team that kind of changed it. You know, you get drafted that high 9 times out of the team is bad, and you got to go through your bumps and bruises. But for me personally, I'm amazed that I was able to be on the team that was the first time to ever get to a Super Bowl. To change that around, to be part of that team, and you know, and to do the things that I was able to do to help this team to be successful. So for me personally, I love that. You know, like I said, I call Seattle my home. I love Seattle. It's a little far from everybody else, but I think that's good for me because I'm more of a homebody, and I don't like a lot of people in my house. So it worked out perfect for me to come out here to Seattle and play my entire career with Seattle.
Kind of to piggyback off of what Nathan said, I mean, you talk about the business of the game. We both talked to DeMaurice Smith, who's the head of the NFLPA, and he talks about the biggest thing you can tell players: they're not entitled to a team. Their name's not in the will. They're not necessarily going to stay there. Were there ever any moments where there was a potential where you could have been traded? And kind of talk about the behind the scenes things. Can you take that personally when you're with your same team for over 10 years?
You know what? I went through 3 franchise tags.
Wow.
So that was it was difficult. I think every player want to be wooed, want to test the free agent market just to see what you worth. So I never got that opportunity. So I think that's a good thing because but still you only playing on 1-year contracts and you have to bet on yourself, and it's a lot go into it. But as players, you have to be your own self-motivator anyway. So I think that's the one thing that I can piggyback. I can go back to you talking about what's the adjustment. I think the adjustment is you got to be your own self-motivator. A lot of times you hear guys say, hey, if you can't get motivated, but still you have to get motivated. You can go out there and not be into the game. And a lot of times, a lot of guys say, oh, I can't see it. But some days you have a day where you're like, but so you have to be your own self-motivator. You have to find ways to get yourself ready for the game. And that's it, man. Just stand, trust, stay focused, and trying to go out there and compete every day.
Following up based off of your self-motivation, you had 180 games played. You started all 180. So can you just walk us through that mental and physical endurance for yourself to get yourself prepared for every game every day?
You know what? I just, like I said, I just worked hard. When I was going through my franchise tags, I was missing training camp. But for me personally, I tell people all the time, I was blessed to be able to play with I played with Coach Homer for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew the playbook. So for me personally, it was easy to come back and play when the season started. And I just try to do the things that were going to get me ready for the game. I tell linemen all the time, I said, when you're conditioning and stuff, don't condition with the running backs and the receiver. Do stuff that's going to help you in the game. And most of the time with offensive linemen, it's all about burst and then getting back in the huddle. So that's the type of drills I would do to get myself ready to play. And I think the number one thing is just taking care of your body. And sometimes that's hard. You go through injuries, and I had a couple of injuries, a couple of surgeries throughout my career. I think it's all about just doing the things that's going to get you on the football field. And sometimes that can be tough, but you want to be. I think the thing about you say that you reel off those numbers. I think that I tell kids all the time is all about being accountable. So I thought for myself, I had to be on the field every Sunday, be available. They pay me a lot of money, so I have to be out there on the football field and do the things that I need to do to help this team be successful. So for me, it was easy for me to go out there and stay focused and knowing what I had to do, because I was making good money and I enjoyed that. So I wanted to be out there every day to play football.
So obviously looking back at your career, and obviously your jersey is retired there, so no one can wear your number 71 now anymore. So what's that like looking back at your career and obviously being a Hall of Famer? And let me ask you about your Hall of Fame experience. So take me back to when they contacted you and that you're going to be in the Hall of Fame, and how long and were you nervous at first with the speech? But take me back to the Hall of Fame experience. When was the first call you got?
For Hall of Fame was amazing, man. You know what? Playing the game, you never think about it when you're playing. Honestly, I didn't. The first time I really thought about getting into the Hall of Fame was the year I went to when Cortez came to rest to his soul. But that was the first time, because he was in his speech, he was like, "Hey, Walt, you're next." And that's literally when it hit me. Oh man, I could be up there in a couple of years. That was the first, because you don't think about that. I never did watch the ceremony when I was playing. I honestly never did. Never. The first time I went out to Canada was when Cortez Kennedy got into the Hall of Fame. And then once I got, once I realized I was I was a finalist, and I got a great trivia for everybody. I got in it, usually get in 5 years. I got in 4 years because I got injured my last year, so I didn't play. So they counted that as a waiting year. I'm like, I wasn't done playing ball, but hey, I got in 4 years. So I don't think anybody know that, the Hall of Fame, though, because I asked them, that's how I knew. I asked them, I thought I would be eligible next year. They said, well, the year that you was injured, we count that as a waiting year. So I got in 4 years. And you know what? It was cool. I think the thing at that point, you have to just sit back and wait, because there's nothing you can do. You have writers, you have people that are talking for you. So at this point, I heard some stuff like, some guys stood up, because guys have to get up and speak for you. I heard guys got up and say, "Hey, this is Walter Jones." And basically that's all he said. And that's like, you hear these stories now. So, but for me, I never thought about being a first ballot. I think once you get in the Hall of Fame, don't matter if you get in year 1 or you get in year 9. I got in with Andre Reed, Ray Guy. I had some guys that had been waiting, and those guys were just as excited as I was. It wasn't like, it wasn't like you were being separate. Once you get that phone call, they don't care if you were the first ballot or you got in 10 years waiting. So just to be a part of those guys, for me personally, being a young kid, watching these guys and stuff, and then being able to be in the same room with a lot of guys that you saw playing football. So for me to be able to say I can walk with these guys and I did it the right way, it was pretty amazing. Then getting the phone call was amazing. I think my year was the first year that they started doing knocks, but they wasn't doing like that. Now they're doing every player. They were just doing subtle play. I got the phone call, and I was with my son, so I got a chance to share that with my son. So that was pretty amazing. It was kind of hectic there in the last couple of hours, because I looked at the schedule wrong. So me and my son went out for a little bit, because I was thinking it was a different time. But when we got back to the room, I had like an hour to get dressed, so it was stressing out. I was like, oh my God. So, but it was fun though. I think my son enjoyed it. It was a great experience. He was my presenter, so he went through the whole process with me. So, and then getting up on stage and speaking, it was kind of nerve-wracking, but it was fun though. I had a chance to recognize people that was part of my life throughout. So I think for that time, you have to enjoy that part of it. And then that's when you kind of can sit back and, you read off these accolades, and then, I can talk Noah's with the best of them, but, I got the proof to back it up. So it's pretty fun to talk, talk with the kids and with friends and stuff. So now you can talk more. You can't talk it when you're playing, but now that you have finished your career and you can stack your career up with anybody. So for me personally, that was pretty amazing to end my career getting into the Hall of Fame and then representing the Seattle Seahawks. We don't have a lot of guys there, so anytime we can get guys in there that represent the Seattle Seahawks, I'm pretty blessed.
And I'm sure on all of us has a bucket list to cover the Football Hall of Fame. I covered the Basketball Hall of Fame, but football's got to be it. Man, I remember talking to Lomas Brown, who's a legendary tackle in his own right, and he said with the alumni in Detroit, before with Coach Patricia's career, he wasn't even allowed to go talk to the players, speak with them, coach with them, do anything like that. Are you able to do that? And especially now with some of the questions around that Seattle O-line, what are you telling those players?
You know what? I tell those players, like I talk to a lot of those guys, but I'm not the guy to come up to a guy and say, I'm not going to give you that. I'm not going to tell a guy. I look at it, if you're in we're talking about being motivated. I always tell guys, I tell coaches, I say, hey man, if the guys want to talk to me, come to me. I got endless information the way I see the game, but I'm not going to put it on you. If you call me, a lot of guys have texted me. I've did drills with guys, so I'm always open to talk to guys. The Seahawks do a great job of taking care of the former players. They let it, before the pandemic, they let us come to practice. You get to go to the game. They take care of you. So Seattle do a great job of letting us be a part of the guys and getting a chance to meet the guys. So they do a great job of that. So Seattle will definitely do that right. So, but I always tell those guys, if you want to talk to me, you got to come to me. I'm not going to search you out because you're a professional. But if you need some help, I'm not here to change your game, but I can give you some pointers on how I saw the game and how you can study throughout the game. A lot of times you study through the week, but they're studying throughout the game. I used to play a guy and I used to always be thinking about what he's going to do in the third quarter. Is he gave me the spin move. He done gave me the chuck. So what he's going to do next? And most of the time I would be right on his third move. So, and that's just part of the game that, I try to tell guys to be always thinking about that stuff throughout the game. Because as players or football players, we have to be able to, like they say, multitask, be able to, you got to be thinking ahead. So that's just part of the game because you change plays when you in your stands. Everything you see, defense is shifting. So there's a lot going on more than just, hey, look at that, they run the ball. So I think from that standpoint, that's just the way it is.
For you personally, were you always, as a left tackle, you were always did you prefer to get back and drop and be ready to protect the quarterback as a pass blocker, or were you one that wanted to get downhill and run somebody over during a ground and pound type of game?
Hey, I'm an offensive lineman, so I'm always want to bang and get guys off the ball. Like I said earlier, I said for me personally, I think Florida State was the team, the school that was going to help me be able to do both of them, and you're going to get those opportunities. So, that's your job. You got to be able to pass, protect, and run block. So, but anytime you can go downhill, that's what you want to do. You want them running behind you. As offensive linemen, there's not a lot of accolades that you can get. If your running back run for 150 yards or your quarterback throw for 500 yards, they don't say nothing about the offensive line. But as players, we have to be able, like I said, going back to what I said before, it's just like you have to self-motivate. You have to find things that's going to help you and make you feel good about what you do on Sunday. And for me, I used to do that too. I used to go, I remember go get on the bus after the game. The PR guys will come up and give you stat sheets. And, for me personally, that's you look at, we won the game. We look and see what the quarterback did. Did you give up a sack? What did your guy do? So for me personally, I enjoy it when a guy go to his, no matter if the game is over, he's sitting on the bus. They might have won or whatever. I know that when he looks at a defensive guy, when he looks at that stat sheet and he got zeros across it, no matter how hard you played, that going to hurt you when you see that zero across your name on the stat line. So I try to do that all the time. I wanted guys to feel bad when they got on the plane. Like, I don't want to go against Walt no more because I don't get no attention. I don't get nothing. So I try my best to try to say when them guys see that stat line for them, it's zeros straight across.
This is a two-part question here. So what advice would you give these young athletes that are trying to get to their goals right now, like what you did? And what advice would you give them? And who do you think is the best offensive lineman right now in the league?
That's a tough one. But For me, what I'll tell young guys, just to be a student, understand your craft. If there's something you want to do, you have to do it every day. You can't take a day off. You know, you have to, back in the day, you hear stories about, guys were, they wasn't making the money these guys are making now. So guys had to have second jobs. Mm-hmm. I can't even imagine that, having a second job playing football. And that's the crazy thing about it. You can't imagine, like, after you leave the season, now you got to go home and work at the lumberyard or something. I can't imagine that, because you have to work out year round to be ready. Because now in training camp, I talked to a lot of older guys. They said training camp that's where you got in shape. But now you can't come to training camp out of shape, because you won't practice. They won't take a chance of you getting out there and getting yourself hurt. So you see some of those guys that come in and don't be in shape, they be on the sideline running until they feel like they're able to go out there and perform at a very high level. So that's what I would tell young guys: be a student of the game, know your craft, and if there's something that you want to do, don't let nobody tell you can't do it. And you aspirate every avenue if that's what you want to do to play. And you see guys do that. Teams have tried for guys, because guys are still chasing that dream. So I would tell a younger guy, if this is your dream, chase it till the last breath, because this game can change your life, and it don't matter if you're a first round draft pick or the last draft pick. And you can see Tom Brady, what he's doing. This guy got 7 championships, and he still got a chip on his shoulder. So it's one of those. It's just crazy situation how guys see the game and how they prepare for the game. And what the second question was?
Who do you think is the best young offensive lineman right now in the league?
Oh man, that's a tough one. When I watch, a lot of people ask me when I watch the game, do I look? I watch the O-line, but I don't I'm not sitting there taking notes on guys. I just watch the game, and if a bad play, if a tackle maker or a guard, somebody mess up, I'm like, oh man, what the heck was he doing? But right now, let me see. I'm just trying to think. The season was crazy this year. I didn't, because I did a lot of my stuff. I had a post-game show, so I was doing those at home. I'm trying to figure out. I'm literally trying to think of guys right now. Honestly, I can't pick nobody, because I don't. I'm sorry for that, but I don't watch guys to see who's the best. I watch the game just like everybody else. I watch to see high scoring and who's going to win.
Yeah, but you guys got a good one in Gabe Jackson, though, in Seattle now. That's a great pickup for you guys.
Well, that's a great pickup. I think the thing about it is cool thing. I think, I think Pete is trying to reel thing back in. I think, when Russell was throwing for 4 or 5 touchdowns, that's not the way Pete want to play. Oh. And now you see the commotion throughout the all season. And, and Russell right now is in his prime of his career. So, but I like the pickup. I think if you're going to be a ground and pound, you better have some big boys in there, because it's going to take that. If that's what you want to do, you want to be in a cloud of dust. Pete is all about defense and don't do anything to hurt you. And a lot of that had to work on Russell. That he was doing good. Then all of a sudden he throw a pick here. Then now Pete said, okay, this is not the way I want to coach. This is not the team that we want to be. So it's all about being balanced. And I think that's what's going to win. That's what's going to win. That's what's going to win them. Have great defense, and then Russell come there in the fourth quarter. You just got to get back to that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about probably the biggest game of your career to be in, and that's the Super Bowl. It wasn't the result that you wanted, but talk about that experience, just being in the game. That's something everyone dreams about, is being on that stage under the lights with how many millions watching. What do you remember most about that game?
The one thing I remember about that game, it was over so fast. I can't even, and me and my ritual is a lot of my offensive linemen before the pregame, they go outside and check the field. I did that. I'm like, I'm not going out there. It's just time to play football. Mm-hmm. But that's the one thing that I regret, that I didn't go outside to see the fanfare, just to say I'm at the Super Bowl. This is a different game. And I said to myself, if I get back, I'm going to get outside. I'm going to see my friends and family, take in everything that's going on. Like, this is a Super Bowl. And for me personally, I was just focused on the game. I didn't think about, this is Super Bowl. And then once it was over, that's when I said, man, I really didn't take this in. I just took it as a football game. And I shouldn't. I should have took it as, this is the ultimate game, not just a football game. This is the ultimate game. So that's the one thing that I regret in that game. Like you said, it didn't come out the way we wanted to, but I was a part of that team. Sometimes I feel like, we wasn't, we knew we was in the Super Bowl, but you just didn't feel confident. No, not, I don't want to say that because I don't want nobody to take my words. But I'm just saying, though, like, maybe, I believe if we would have got back the next year, we probably it would have been a different outcome. But it happened. I tell people all the time. I said I thought we was a better team, but that's why we play the games, because you never know what's going to happen. And I tell people we just was off our game. People talk about the referees, but we was the number one scoring offense, so we could put points up. And I can't, and that fathomed me that we didn't put up a lot of numbers in that game. You got to take your hat off to Pittsburgh and what they did on defense. But still, again, the thing I remember from that game, that it was over pretty fast. And before I know it, I was on the bus and I'm like, man, this game is over with. So I regret that part of the game that I didn't take into fanfare.
Walter, I want to talk a little bit about post NFL now. You've been doing a little bit of everything. You've been doing a little photography, broadcasting, as well as your clothing line, Best to Ever Do It, 96 Check Initiative. How have you been able to balance everything now that everything you've been doing post NFL for yourself?
It's been fun. For me personally, I wasn't really thinking about, I always been a homebody. So, a lot of times you hear guys say, once you leave the game, you're going to be searching for that enjoyment. I never looked at the game like that. I just looked at it for what it was. It was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be the best at it. But once I retired, I always been a person. Once I make my decision, I don't go back. I don't go back doing it. I just say, you know what? I had a great career, so I'm okay. And I don't have no issues now. My number one fear was when I first got my contract, I told my agent, I told my financial guy, I don't want to be broke. We was poor growing up. So for me personally, I have that fear every day. So I'm not, I'm not saying I just fear that all the time, because you hear the numbers, you hear this, you hear that, So I'm very fearful of that. Sometimes I have my financial guy call me and say, well, you need to spend some money. So, and that's a good feeling to hear, but still, and again, you think about, I don't want to be a number, you don't want that to be your last, but people say, well, he had a great career. He made a lot of money and now he don't get it. But I tell young people about money, you learn money is, you can have a lot of money, but it can go fast no matter how much you got. If you never seen that much kind of money and then all of a sudden you start paying for stuff, those numbers, the bigger your money is, the bigger stuff, the check, those bills be, So for me personally, I always question that. So it took a lot for me to understand that part of the game, like, how, nothing is free. It might look free, but it's not free. I tell my kids that all the time. I say it might look free, but it's not free. So I just fear that all the time. But for me personally now, I just want to, I try to let people get to know me now, because a lot of times people be like, oh, Walt don't talk. I always, I watch people, you can't play this game if you don't understand what's going on or watch what's going on. A lot of people complain when people started doing the Zoom calls. They're like, oh my God. But, it came fun. I think the cool thing about it, you learn what you want to do. Like for me personally, you watch people, for me personally, when I do Zoom calls, I try to look in back, I know everybody does it, so they might not own up to it, but you're always looking back and seeing people, what they got in their background. Like, oh, so for me, I think it's cool. I don't know. I don't think it'll ever, because it's a quick way to get people on, get people online and talk, because a lot of times you go somewhere, you're like, crap, I don't want to go. So now, I had this call at 9:00. I got up at 8:30 and I'm on here. So I like that part of it. This year we did my post-game show at home this year live. So I enjoyed that part of it, because I didn't have to do nothing but put a top on.
Yeah.
You didn't have to get fully dressed when you're at the stadium. So from that point, and I did my clothes brand. I wanted to do one when I was playing, but, I was so focused on my career. Yeah. So when I got done, I just played with it, and I came up with my Best to Ever Do It clothing brand. It was just about trying to let people know that you can be the best version of yourself. It's not about just being a football player. It's about whatever you guys do, y'all. You do this stuff, you got to be the best at it. And, the thing about you guys, the reason why I came here with you guys, because I said, y'all got great guys, y'all have great content. And the thing about it, y'all you do a great job. So that's the number one thing. I like the fact that you guys sent clips to show what it's about, hear the conversation, hear the questions. Because a lot of times you don't know, you're like, I don't know what's going to happen, or they're going to ask a question that I might, so for me, that's what I did. And thank you guys for wanting me to come on here and talk to you guys. But I just trying to keep myself focused. I do a lot of stuff just because of my kids. I want my kids. I do all my stuff. When I first got my brand, most of the time when you got money, people want to, they think you just want to throw money and say, hey, here. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do the brand. I wanted to understand that, how to do apparel. And for my first couple of years, I had someone doing it. So it was like, okay, if something go wrong, I got to call this person. And I got tired of that. So I said, I want to learn this. I said, I know what I want. So I took over everything. Right now, I'm doing my company out of my garage. And it's been fun. You know, a lot of time when my friends come on, they're like, man, you do this? I say, yes. And they're like, man, you get somebody. See, that's the thing. I don't like when people say that. Oh, you get somebody to do that. Yeah, I can do that. But it doesn't take the enjoyment out of, it's just like playing football. You play for so long.
Yeah.
You're bad, and you get better. You learn from those mistakes that you made when you was a rookie. So for me personally, I never saw those mistakes. I was all about, I need this done. I didn't know how hard it is, or I enjoy that part of it to learn. So for me personally, it's been fun. A lot of people, like I say, my friends be like, man, why are you doing that? I said, because I want to show my kids that, if whatever happened with this brand, I want them to say, man, I saw my dad sitting at the table, folding those hoodies, folding those t-shirts, doing it himself. And I enjoy that part of it, just learning.
Mm-hmm.
So at this age, you're just trying to learn, So for me, and I want people to get to know me as a person. Like, when I played the game and people know Walter Jones, I try to introduce people to Walt and say, hey, I'm just like you, like you said, being in Seattle for my entire career, I enjoy the fact that a lot of my friends are just local friends. I try to put myself around great people, not more players, because a lot of time with players go different ways once the season is with. So I always wanted to form my friendship with people here in the city. If I ever came back to the city, I have friends here I can visit, not just to come here for one person. So for me, I enjoy that part of it, just being able to do what I want to do. I think that's the most important thing for me. I definitely did that from the get-go, trying to hold on to every little dime. But for me now, I enjoy the fact to be here, tell my story so people can hear, and hopefully inspire someone. I think I always talk to guys all the time, and then once I got a story the other day, it was pretty amazing. You don't think about it when Trent Williams signed his contract, and he's like the highest paid offensive lineman. A lot of times people text me like, "What?" I'm like, "Man, did y'all think that the numbers gonna go down?" I said they're gonna keep going up. They're not gonna go back. Ain't nobody going back. So for me personally, I'm very proud of that kid, because when I used to do my free football camps in Alabama, that kid came to my camp. And so to see, the things that he went through, and now, the money that he's making, I'm so impressed and inspired by that kid. And I don't want to say it, but I think I heard one time, I don't know, I haven't asked him, but the reason why he was 71 is because of me. So it's pretty cool. So, but for him to see this guy, to come out on top, that's pretty amazing.
So the last few things here before we let you go, the first one, the team I have assembled, we're part of the Hugh Jackson Foundation. Obviously, he's a former NFL coach. He's trying to be a coach again at some point. We're ambassadors for them, helping them out to help prevent human trafficking, making sure the community's safe. And we're really grateful to be part of their foundation. So I'll send you the page so you can go check it out. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. And I just want to bring that up real quick. And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
Hey, just stay safety and, continue doing what you're doing. Like I said, with my brand, be the best. And I know you guys are doing that. So I have the utmost respect of what y'all deal with every day. So just keep that up and, keep the good jobs up. And thanks for keeping us safe, and understanding that everything that's going on and understanding what we have to do to stay healthy. So I appreciate the hard work that you guys do every day.
You're well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 718 with former NFL offensive tackle Walter Jones, aka Hall of Famer from the Seattle Seahawks. I just want to say thank you for joining us. It's truly an honor. This was really inspiring. We really learned a lot today from your interview, and I'm going to be posting this on all social media formats. And keep up the great work. Obviously, we're going to stay connected, and I'm going to look at your clothing brand and maybe purchase some of your clothes there. It looks amazing. So, but keep up the great work, and you and your family stay safe.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Y'all be safe out there.
Thank you.